Welcome to the first Google Hangout for the Hong Kong Webfest 2013. And we are looking at content creators in Canada and especially financing in Canada. So we have people we have someone from the IPF here and someone from Radio Canada and two content creators. So I would say everyone just introduce yourself first, and then we jump right into some questions. How about Ella first?
Okay, so I'm Ella. I work for the Independent Production Fund and also Bell Fund out of Toronto. The Independent Production Fund funds dramatic web series, and the Bell Fund funds digital content connected and associated with television programs, so digital extensions for TV shows with Canadian broadcast licenses. And we've been doing, the IPF has been doing web series since 2010, and before that we funded dramatic TV shows.
All right. So how about Jill?
Hi, I'm Jill Gollick. I am the creator of Skye, which is a digital detective series, a web series about a detective named Skye. She's a teenager, so the series caters to a young audience, and it's an interactive show. So you can, as Ruby solves the case, you have access to the clues, and you can use them to try and solve the mystery along with Ruby. And we have been lucky enough to be financed by the Independent Production Fund for both seasons of Ruby Skye. We were financed by the IPF in their very first round of web series financing, and then again in the second one. I'm hoping to continue to benefit from their largesse.
All right, thanks. How about Pierre?
Yes, hi, I'm Pierre-Mathieu Fortin, PM for short. I work for the French branch of the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, which is called Radio Canada. I'm head of original content, which also, so I therefore produce web series, interactive web series, and also lots of convergent products, this being either websites or applications that deal with second screen for TV shows. So I work a lot with the IPF, Independent Production Fund, and also with the Canadian Media Fund. And so I've been doing that for the last 5 years here. The specifics maybe a bit about Canada is the fact that the French-speaking portion of Canada, which is mostly concentrated in a province called Quebec, is about 8.5 million people that really have kind of their own star system in terms of television and cinema. And since we are speaking of French, that is quite different from the French being spoken in France, this kind of puts this language minority into some form of a weird, like, cultural island, for instance, compared to the rest of Canada, which is speaking mostly English, and where the broadcasters mostly have to deal with competition coming from the US, of course, for us having this proximity with the United States. So I work for the French component, so it gives us access to the same funding, but we definitely have different public. And it's a small public, but it's an interesting kind of cultural mishap, you would say, in North America. It is fun to deal with, and so we have a very Canada is a very digitally savvy and interested population, and so the national broadcaster, CBC Radio Canada, is quite interested in continuing to reach out to its audiences, whichever platform you use.
All right. How about Zaid?
Yeah, I'm Zaid Touma. I'm a producer for Cousin Films in Montreal. Quebec, and I produce in film, television, and digital media. And just recently, I produced and directed an interactive web series for Radio-Canada, .ca. That was funded partly by Radio-Canada and the Canadian Media Fund. It's called Le Judas, the Judas in English. And it's a murder mystery where the players help the detective find who the killer was, while all the suspects are still alive during the quest and chatting and tweeting between themselves. So you have to find all the clues on multiple platforms and gain points to win the grand prize.
All right. Okay. Thanks a lot. Thanks everyone for being here. It's really a pleasure to talk directly to Canada, because we all know Canada is sort of the mecca of transmedia right now. And I met Jill at the LA Webfest actually, but I knew about the project before, and I was really impressed how she targets her audience, how she basically reaches out to her audience very specifically, very focused, and trying to create new revenue models out there. And actually, that's Jill. That would be my first question for you. What kind of revenue models do you think, or do you have created, and what do you want to create with your series?
That's a great question. At this point, I will leave no stone unturned. Because we've been lucky enough to have some financing and have 2 years to build, or 2 seasons to build so far, I've taken the time to explore a bunch of different possibilities for making money. We go to live events and we sell merch. Of course, we've got ads through our video partners like YouTube, Flip, Goldcast. I have affiliate marketing set up on my sites. The most recent season of Ruby Skye, The Haunted Library, is all about books and children's books and libraries. So we built a website for the fictional library in the show, the O'Deary Library, and every book is linked to Amazon. So if you click here, we get some affiliate marketing money for that. Try to think what else we've done. I mean, when I think about making money on the web, I think that there are really, 4 ways to make money in entertainment. Your advertiser can pay. So we have tried working with advertisers in a variety of ways. We definitely have ads turned on our videos. The audience can pay you. You just have to give them opportunities. So that would be things like ticket sales, or in our case, merchandise sales. And the third way, the third way that you do it with any form of entertainment is distribution. So we have, we're working with a distributor to distribute the 2 web series internationally into other markets. And now we're beginning to look at actually how we can take the Ruby Skye PI franchise and move it onto other platforms as well. So books about Ruby, maybe a TV show, maybe a movie, something like that, games, that will be another way to make money.
Ella, you're basically managing 2 funds, right? So the IPF and the I forgot the name, Ball Fund?
Bell Fund.
Yeah, Bell Fund. Can you talk a little bit about how they work and what they do?
Sure. Yeah. So the Independent Production Fund actually is the overall fund that administers the Bell Fund. The Independent Production Fund changed its mandate in 2010 to fund dramatic, scripted web series. So it doesn't actually have to be drama in a serious way. It can be comedy. We just mean scripted. Technically, we're looking for sort of sort of like a narrative arc over a season. It doesn't have to be a full narrative arc, but we're looking for more than just, sketches or cat videos or something like that. We're really trying to help build the online content and make it really great and giving people money to create really great stories like Ruby Skye is a really excellent example. It's really popular, but it costs money to do, and it's hard to make enough money to produce content of that type for the web right now. We hope that eventually, it can all be self-sustaining and people can make money, and the content creators that we're working with are starting to actually make a living at it, and we're really excited by that. And it's definitely, even just in a few years, fun. Doing web series, it's really so much has changed. The applications we're getting just each year just get so much better and so much more professional and polished, and such great ideas and such good extensions and really creative ways to use the internet and use interactivity. And then the Bell Fund funds digital extensions for TV properties. So for that to happen, you need to have a Canadian broadcast license. And then with each season, technically, of your TV show, you can come to us and you can get money to build your app, build a game, build an interactive website. You could even get money from us to make a web series that's connected to the TV property. But it's definitely different, and it's a bit harder to access because you need to have already that broadcast license. So the Independent Production Fund is unique, sort of, in the Canadian sort of funding realm, that you don't need a TV broadcast license. So that's why we're able to do web series. We're really happy with that.
Okay, but when you look for when you look at a project, do you really want to see that that they have figured out how to make money out of it, or is that something that you fund first and then say they have potential and they might do it, or it doesn't that matter? So basically, do the people have to have like a real business plan when they come to you to get the money, or can they say, oh, I have a great idea, but I'm not really sure how to make it work?
No, we're looking for more than just great ideas, really. We want a great idea, obviously, but you do have to have a business plan, and it really is more serious than just somebody at home thinking, oh, you know what, I have this awesome idea, I'm going to make a web series. That's a great start, but what we're trying to do is we're trying to help create content that is sort of a step above an amateur level. So we do expect a lot. We, expect, when you come to us, we need to see detailed budgets, we need to see your financing plan, we need to see your revenue plan. Maybe your revenue options are not huge, but we need to see what your plans are. We invest in it. It's not a grant for the IPF, it's an equity investment. So we're investing in your idea because we think it's great. We think you have a good plan. We think you have a good distribution plan, marketing plan, business plan, revenue, and we're investing in it. So we're serious about the content.
Do you take a share? Sorry.
Can I just jump in and say that my last application to the IPF was approximately 100 pages long.
Right, they're very thick. Yeah.
Okay, but do you take a share from the revenues that come in from a project? Okay.
Yeah, we do.
Percentage?
It depends. Generally, what we say is we take whatever percentage of the budget we are, capped at 50%.
Oh, okay. Okay, so let's say a guy like me sitting here in Hong Kong, having a great idea, having a great business plan, could I apply to your fund to make an international co-production, for example, Canada, Hong Kong?
Yes, you need to partner with a Canadian producer. We're working through, honestly, the sort of co-production agreements because there's not an official co-production agreement for digital media stuff. So we are only supposed to fund Canadian content creators, but you can partner up and you can co-produce internationally. it'll take a bit of a discussion to figure out
Okay.
exactly.
But obviously, the Canadian part should be extremely strong, right? So in terms of story and in terms of production.
Well, it doesn't necessarily have to be a Canadian story, but it does have to be a Canadian producer who owns the IP, the intellectual property for it.
Okay.
But Ella, sorry, but
Yeah.
does the money need to be spent in Canada? Does 100% of the money need to be spent in Canada? Question.
There's no official co-production treaty for digital, but in film, you could be a minority you could be a minority participant in co-production and have as little as 20% of the money spent in Canada.
Okay.
All right.
We haven't really had any international co-productions. I think we had one last year that was with the UK, but I'm not exactly sure how that one panned out with the agreements. And I think they're shooting in Canada, though. So.
All right. Jill, I heard something very interesting when I was in Singapore last week. You know all your fans on Facebook. Is that correct? Like every single one who likes the page, you know them?
No, I don't know all of them at all, but I have the ability to know them, and I try and get to know every fan that I can in as personal a way as I possibly can. So if somebody friends the show on Facebook, I'll try and get to know who they are. I'll go and look at their profile and maybe chat with them online. With our YouTube subscribers, I always go and watch their videos and comment on their videos, try and get to them, because I think the power is in the audience, power in the and kind of production is in knowing your audience, and that's why I think that Quasar is such an interesting position, because they do have an avid audience for their homegrown content, and this is just a way to make that relationship.
All right, thanks a lot.
We do that in Singapore, by the way.
Siobhan O'Flynn. Siobhan O'Flynn. Yeah.
Oh, sure. Oh, okay. Well, she's Siobhan.
Oh, Siobhan, yeah.
True that I work very hard to get to know my.
Okay, cool. Pierre-Mathieu.
Yes.
So you said that you're feeling a little bit isolated over there in Montreal. Do the projects that come from your end are they different in terms of stories to other stories in Canada, to the English ones? I mean, do you see that like really heavy cultural differences between them?
Well, they're not as different as the main difference, which is being the language. So language is the big difference, but the rest of it is people still want entertainment. People still want cop shows, comedy shows, humor, relationship sitcoms. People want the same. If we're talking only about like web shows or that are strictly linear, so they would be like either like short skits or people want the same. It's just that since we speak French, we can only speak to other French-speaking communities, and even when we try to cross over this being to other French-speaking countries like Belgium or France or Switzerland, the accent, the language comes in. So I would guess this would be the same back in Hong Kong with the mainland Chinese and Cantonese, and so it will be basically the same. So right now we were speaking about earlier with Jill about co-production, but we're starting to work and trying to work our way through with co-production with France Television, and so it is a road that we want to. so we want to walk down that path, but we are bumping into some cultural differences. So we're all North American, like we're all, this is what we're feeling when working with France, is the fact that we are, sometimes this is my personal opinion there, but I would say to them, like, we are not like French, we're not like, we're not the cousins from France, like we're really North Americans who speak French. So there's a main difference there. And so it is a great asset of the fact that we are talking to a very close-knit community that is just big enough so that we can have an economy, that we can have a star system, that we can have like TV shows that work well, that grow well. But it is also a glass ceiling in terms of when a television show is broadcast and it reaches 1.5 million viewers, we're never going to top that. So I think the record-breaking audience for a television show in French-speaking Canada, I think, is 2.5 million, and this record has never been broken before for a single viewing. So yes, it is great because we have access to all these amazing writers and comedians and actors who have difficulty going elsewhere, whereas when you're dealing with the community in English Canada, they have a real exodus that they're dealing with, where if you have some great actor that has a great career, eventually he's going to move to LA. So they're dealing with that situation, and people who stay over in Canada take great pride in it, in doing that stunt of staying over in Canada. But this is very, very difficult for the broadcasters, for the Canadian broadcasters on the English side, of keeping the production, the people, the actors, the ideas, like basically keeping the brains in Canada. But this is not my forte, in a sense that this is not the community I'm working with, but this is definitely like the sense that I get. So for us in French-speaking Canada, it's great. It's a great like field that we can work with and communicate with, but we peak at one point. We reach that glass ceiling, and then how can we export the things we create? Then we will export the format, and so we will try to sell that format to anybody out there, whether it be European or Americans, or so. It's a good thing and a bad thing, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. You're from Radio Canada, and Radio Canada is doing a lot of transmedia and web series shows, right?
Yes.
How come a radio station is so active online?
Because we're not a radio station. Radio Canada is really the French branch of the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation. So we have 2 radio stations. We have 2 television stations. We have loads of internet space and media outlets. So we stuck with the name Radio Canada for the last, I think, 75 years, but we just changed it yesterday.
Okay.
So now, but it has not changed on the international side, but in Quebec we're not on BC, which means here. And so Radio Canada we have 2 radio stations, 2 television stations, and loads of information outlets and different websites.
Okay.
So
I just had to ask that stupid foreigner question. Sorry. but it basically
I did that a lot.
Okay. But it basically means after 70 years you rebranded yourself just now. Totally.
Yes.
Totally.
Yesterday.
So how is that coming along?
We're facing some criticism, but also loads of openness from people. This is getting out of line here in terms of interactive content, but it's an interesting story. The fact that 5 years ago, when I came into place, they basically created that post, the one I'm occupying now, by saying we want to create original online content. So we were producing television shows, we were producing radio programs, but they were saying the web, the internet, was basically an outlet for those creations, either for television or for radio. It was basically a catch-up. So for Radio Canada and CBC, the internet was basically a catch-up material. So you missed something on television or you missed something on radio, you would catch it up on the web. But 5 years ago, they decided to put someone in place and basically start a pilot program and saying, as the IPF did a couple of years ago, and saying, let's create some original online content. So on that post, I helped create quite a few web series that struck a chord with the people in Quebec, and they were quite popular. And they eventually even migrated back to television. And so I think in some way this also, sorry, I'm looking for my words, but it helped, or it kind of put people to realize that there was an interest in that. There was an interest in watching and seeing original online content, and now the web was not only a catch-up portal, but was really a place for original content to start. And this was like 2008, 2007, 2008. So it was really the apex of YouTube that was starting to explode. And so Radio Canada really wanted to have its place in them. And then after, then the IPF started funding some of these web series, and we continued to produce them and help them being produced. And then we started to do lots of interactive series like we did with Zaid and Judas.
Zia, tell us a little bit more about your project and specifically why you did it. And actually, I have the same questions for you like for Jill. What kind of revenue streams did you come up with? What kind of is the project working well right now, or running well right now, and where's it headed?
Well, we just finished the project. Basically, if you want to know a little bit about it, it's the story of this landlord who was found dead, and the detective comes in and she finds that he put surveillance cameras in all of his tenants' apartments. So one of them was suspected of killing him. So she takes all of the footage of the surveillance cameras and goes through it on the web and asks the help of all the gamers to help her look at clues within this footage. And she also confiscates all of the digital tools of the suspects. So all of their cell phones, she has access to all of their social media, digital footprints. So she's really looking into their Facebooks, their Twitters, websites that they visited, phone calls that they made, and the gamers really have to go through all of that footage and help her find clues, and they gain points. And at the end, we had a $10,000 prize that we gave to the best detective. We really played what was very interesting, coming from film and television. In digital media, what I really discovered was that the audience starts being alive once you put out the product. Because usually, in a film or a TV series, the product ends when you're showcasing it. Whereas in digital media, it's really starting to be alive when you put the product out there in the hands of the audience. And they were able to help each other solve clues and create a community within each other, where there was as much competition as there was collaboration. So that was very interesting to discover these super fans that were extremely involved in the content. Now, as for revenue generating, of course, there's ads on the website, and because the series was just finished, now we are packaging it and trying to sell it as a format in a different language. So that's the next step.
All right. Was that your first project in that scope for a transmedia project, or did you do some others before already?
I had done another one, which was a few years ago, almost 10 years ago, that was inspired from a film, my first feature film. And it was taking the feature film themes of identity and memory and really trying to tell a different story online. It was called Saved by the Bells, Bells, Les Belles, like the Southern Bells, the film, and the same for the website. And what was really interesting about that experience is that I was really trying to tell different stories in different platforms. So when I did the film, in the documentary of the film, like the behind the scenes, I said it doesn't matter if the soundtrack of the film reaches the people more than the film, or if the website, or if the poster, or if this documentary film, the behind the scenes of it, reaches the people more than the actual film itself. So for me, what was the most important as a storyteller was to access an audience with the right medium, and be able to tell the same story, but in a different way, to a different audience, which you can reach through different media. So the website was extremely popular, and we completely were inspired by the themes of the film and exploded it and kind of reconstructed a whole new interactive universe for it.
Where do you see your main audience? Is it in Canada or is it like globally?
I think when every time I create a product, which is an entertainment piece, I try to really think who's gonna be the consumer of it. So when we are doing a piece like Le Judas in French, people are speaking in Québécois. So we're really catering to that specific market. Although, of course, most interesting stories are universal, and they should be able to translate into different audiences and internationally. So that's the hope we have with this project. And what's really interesting about it is that, you know, in film and in television, there's kind of not a recipe or a formula or a way of doing things. You know, you're almost comfortable. And here I entered this project with complete, it was like being blindfolded. It was like real innovation. And that is very, very exciting for creative people, because there's a new tool that has limitless possibilities, and the way we are creating stories with it is really incredible. You know, for us, just to give you an example, the whole beginning of our series was a launch at the Festival du Nouveau Cinéma. So it's a festival where we had a big party with 500 people, and then the cops showed up and arrested the suspects live. And then, so that's the beginning of the project. And during the whole project, the suspects were able to chat to each other online. They were making appointments with each other, the actors. And they would actually go and hang out and have a coffee. And part of the action, the narrative, was happening in real life, where the fans were following these people, recording these scenes that we didn't film, and bringing it back to the narrative, the whole arc of of the film. So it was kind of crowdsourcing the content that we had created. And then the finale of the whole thing was that the 10 finalists went with the detective on location and were able to meet the suspects that they had been following for the past 3 months. You know, like if they knew that door number 27 had this girl behind it, they would knock there and enter the life and the decor that they've been privy to during the past few weeks. So the more you knew about the series, and the super fans, they really knew, almost like the writers and creators of the series. You know, the way like we put the cards and connect all the characters and the arcs and the details. The gamers were really into it, and it was pretty incredible to go beyond the fiction in this project and really explore this new territory of fiction and real life. And you were able to call the suspects, and the actors would pick up the phone, call you back, you know, all through recorded answering machines, or we send them things by mail, handwritten USB keys that contain part of the content. All the platforms we just really used, and it was pretty exciting to delve into narrative, but just on different canvases. Tweets, like people would get texts, or all of the, you know, and it was all part of this big, complex narrative that seems simple because, you know, people are writing you back on your email or your Facebook, or tweeting you back because they do almost exist as fictional characters.
All right, thanks a lot. This is amazing. I mean, yeah, I would really love to talk to you more, but we are a little bit short on time now. And sorry for the trouble with the technology, but I hope that will work out next year again. And I hope you will be coming to Hong Kong someday soon, so we can talk about more here in Hong Kong. And I hope I can come to Canada one day as well.
Co-producer.
Yeah, of course, yes, co-production. That's always something I wanna try to figure out, international co-production for transmedia projects. I think this is the next step.
You also explained to me what the CBC was. The Canadian-born Chinese. So we're definitely open to the CBC people here.
I understand that, yes. All right. Thanks a lot. I will stop the recording.
Your show sounds amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Your show sounds
Oh, thank you.